Oh, it's less common now, but this is something back whenever I came on the scene and came out as a natural bodybuilder, particularly.
Came out as a natural. What
Yeah,
else are you coming out as?
I had to come out of the natty closet, right? So I over here in Northern Ireland, there wasn't too many people that I would have known that were public about being natural bodybuilding because there was no natural bodybuilding federations over here. So most of the only shows that we had was like UKBFF, PCA,
Sure,
NABA, just to use.
wasn't a thing.
So whenever I got in the first year that I competed in UKBFF as a natural bodybuilder, obviously wasn't anywhere near the biggest. It was actually the smallest on stage, and because of my condition was what people speculated that made me a non-natty.
Yeah, too shredded for being a.
Oh, you can't get that lean being natural. And I
Mhm.
remember even back then, in my knowledge is obviously a lot more developed now than it was 12
Yeah,
years ago. But trying to explain to somebody who was also a busy coach, I'm not saying a good coach, but certainly a busy coach,
yeah,
accusing me of being not natural because of how lean I was. And I says, can you explain to me the mechanisms that if so, to what point does the thing that always works stop working? Calorie deficit. I went, at what point then, as a natural, does my body say, right, you can have no longer any more body fat? There's a conclusive moment, and that's death.
yeah. And just like we know this from starvation studies and famine studies, that what happens is your body fat levels get down to 3%, then your body goes through the essential fat, and then once the essential fat's gone through and the carbohydrates gone through, the only thing you've got left to deal with is protein tissue. Protein tissue will last about 2 days, then you die.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
Like it's studied again and again and again.
So, but what's great now is obviously seeing the meteoric rise of natural bodybuilding. It
Mhm.
is definitely magnified, and I think there's a lot more natural. It would be nice. I'm sure you would agree, Andrew, to have just been born into natural bodybuilding in the way that it feels today, because 12 years ago, as going far back as whenever you were competing, there was definitely not a lot of support from the sort of enhanced side. There was always just accusations, and you're like going, I'm walking on stage at 10 stone 3, and at that point my body fat would have been around 6%, so I was lean, but by my standards now I would be fat, and people were still going, you're assisted because there's no way your body can get that sort of fat free without assistance.
I think what you're talking about there, right, is that's the classic holding a mirror up to people and it reflecting on them because people love an excuse.
Oh yeah.
And as soon as you take their excuses away from them, they get upset. So it's much, much easier for me to make an accusation that, well, he's obviously using drugs because there's no way that he can be that lean natural because I'm using drugs and I'm not that lean. So I'm not willing to accept that that person works harder for me or knows something that I don't know, or I'm just not willing to reflect on the things that I'm doing. That's what that is.
Yeah, I always want to be open, and this is something. If you look at like so Doug Miller, um, people even in who are high up in natural bodybuilding who have achieved massive, you know, accolades, have still discussed, oh, I don't think Doug Miller is natural. And for me, I would never want to waste my time contemplating whether somebody is or isn't. For me, I want to live in a world where if somebody says they are until we prove otherwise. And my sort of point to that was there was a pretty good pro that had said that to me and referenced that this Doug in that sort of way. And I've never met Doug, so I've no invested interest to defend anybody. But I did say, I went, so you're also a very intellectual guy, and you're obviously well read and you're studied. And the guy agreed. He goes, well, oh, thanks, yeah, yeah. Well, I'm studied, I'm academic. It's like, okay. So how many percent between do you think there is between you naturally and the absolute elite intelligence on this planet, if you could quantify it, what do you think the difference is? And he goes, I don't know. And I went, well, probably by, if it was IQ standard, you're probably going to see people 25% achieving above your number. So what you're, I would say that you are within that percentile of somebody like Doug Miller. So there is genetic anomalies that are just going to have these sort of strengths within that component, whether it's intelligence, whether smart people can be made to look dumb by people who are just superior intellect. It's as simple as that. And I think the same can be said for the physical manifestation of bodybuilding, where even the best natural bodybuilders on this planet, there's probably somebody out there that's never walked on stage that would probably walk in comfortably and within a year and win a world title.
I think this is a good discussion point. We could absolutely do a full podcast on it on this one, and maybe we should from there. There's no doubt that people underappreciate how vertical differences in things like human performance and intellect can be.
Yeah,
So if your average intellect is 100 IQ points, you can get people who have got 250.
yeah.
Like you just can.
So how
And like whenever you walk down the street,
yeah,
you might, I mean, this is rare actually, but you can walk down the street, or in fact, let me maybe say this slightly different. I know a guy called Sean. Yeah, he's the tallest man I've ever met. He must be about 7 foot. Fuck no, he's like 7'4" or something. I'm like, how many people do you meet like that in a year? How many people do you meet like that in your life? So this guy's just tall as fuck.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
So you're you're just like, okay. And then I showed a great graphic, I think, or at least I thought it was about differences in muscle mass and performance from just a 12-week bicep curl training study. Some people were gaining 200% improvements in bicep strength and 120% improvements in bicep cross-sectional area. Some people are getting 5%. So there's no doubt that there are huge differences in people's ability to accrue muscle mass and things like that. Um, Wrapping this up, you said something about the accusations that maybe they're getting less and less as natural bodybuilding comes into the more and more prominent. But do you think it just you've got older and you just give less fucks? Because there's that side of it as well. Because when I was younger, I used to be like, "Oh, I'm natural, and this really matters to me," and yada yada yada, and oh, I wear that badge of honor, and not like I'm not any less proud of being a natural bodybuilder, but I think I just care less now, or maybe more people just know me for a long time as being a natural bodybuilder, and they're like, well, it's just a long time to keep this lie up, so maybe he is natural, or do
yeah.
you-
There's a couple of things there. I think that other natural bodybuilders who are making good year on year progress are less likely to point the finger of accusation at anybody because they're on a pursuit. Maybe they're just further down in the timeline ladder. So they're going to take their time to reach that status. I think most of the time in the past, it is the finger being pointed is either being pointed by general people in the street, which
yeah,
you'll still get now there's no point in valuing their opinion. They don't know the physiological
yeah,
elements or the work that you put in. So that's kind of like funny. The accusations that probably were most annoying was from a lot of assisted bodybuilders, but that's become less common because a lot of these assisted bodybuilders who are coaches have at some point taken on natural athletes, so they
mm,
know their natural athletes are not taking assisted assistance, and they're seeing the amount of progress in
yeah,
in real time, and they're going,
yeah,
okay, so naturals can build like this, and there's a lot like whenever I think about,
that's a good point.
you know what I mean. So whenever I started competing, uh, it was later on. I was 33 3 years of age was my first show, and now you're seeing kids walking on stage 17, 18 with 2, 3 years training experience already under their belt. Not only that, training better than because of now
Oh,
than I trained
way
at
better.
13, 14. And bear in mind, at 13, 14 years of age, I was probably 4 foot 10. I'm 4 foot 11 and a half now. 4 foot 10, and I had like full six pack and wee packs, a good shape by the standard of that day. But now that's like most of the wee young kids that train in my gym are far at the same age, far
Yeah.
superior to that.
They've just got so much better access to equipment and
Yeah,
knowledge and everything like that. And it just is accelerating their ability to reach that, what you might call the first or second plateau much, much earlier than we ever did.
yeah.
Um, so that, oh, you just had a point there. Yeah, go for it. You